Squire Sebastian, I know you asked me about this, and I said, come out and visit. And we'll go through these notes and we'll go through these books, anybody that wants to do that with me. I am concerned about the cost that it's going to cost the county.
Can I ask a question? Because I know this court voted on HMC doing valve replacements within the last 6 to 8 months. Maintenance director at that time came back and said, because we asked for a quantity, if you remember, it was a lump sum.
Right.
We asked for a quantity. The previous maintenance director came back and he said, sorry, they were wrong. They don't want to bid it now or something.
Right.
So I will say that I feel like we've been responsible.
We
so I don't
have.
want anybody, watching
Yeah.
thinking that we're
Right.
not supportive.
We've done our due diligence, and we have reached out to HMC again. And if anybody on the court, knows of someone else, I spoke to Robert Hewitt for a few minutes yesterday, that we can get out and give us another estimate for replacing these valves. But I want to see what is covered still under this ESG project. I'm not really sure. So we're doing a deep dive into that. I want to make sure that we're not costing the county asking for any additional money that, could have been covered under this, and we missed it because this was prior to me coming in. Sorry, I keep talking,
No,
Sherry.
That's all
that's
good.
okay. Yeah. So when you mentioned the valves, I'm gonna ask you remember seeing multiple size valves? You remember seeing
Yeah, oh, I remember.
those?
There's a change order.
There was a huge change order
Yep.
on multiple size valves.
Yeah, but I
So
do remember the jailer at that time said, well, we'll replace some of them too. There was some gray area there.
So
Yeah.
I just know when I went out and met with the current maintenance supervisor, I had to shimmy back a wall because
Yeah.
he couldn't even get back there to show me some.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have someone that
So-
previously
Yeah.
worked at the jail that
Just-
works with me on Fridays, and he's my guy to get back in there and shimmy back in there. So, like I said, I know, well, it is bad. It's as bad as it looks.
So you're working on an estimate?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We'll go from
Sorry,
there.
and
Yeah.
I'll leave it there.
It's all good, yeah.
I'll leave it there. All right. Andrew? I don't know. Okay, so when we came in, our commissary building out there was run on, it was running 360 amps out of that building, out of a 200 amp, and I cut the electric off. And, that's just one of those little Amish buildings that, they bring. It was very dangerous for us to be running that. So this is a commissary building. It's for the benefit of the inmates. So we paid for the Frankfurt Plant Board out of commissary money to come and set poles. And we've already paid the bill to Cunningham Electric. They'll hook us up. And these things we didn't have to ask the court for, because we've been able to manage our commissary fund to where we don't have to. These are the things that we don't have to come to the court for, of course, as long as it's spent in the interest of the inmates, and this is the commissary building.
Well, before you move on, I just want to say thank you, because I know that's been a big issue with previous people.
Yes.
There's members that we have,
So
want and use commissary for the good and safety of the
Right.
inmates. We've had
And-
issues, so
and-
thank you.
Thank you for purchasing our forklift. That put some money back in our commissary account, and there may be some items out there, other items. I think there's getting ready to be a sale, and we're working with Greg McClovick, our auditor, to find out if no one in the county can purchase a couple of these other commissary items that were bought out of commissary, if we can sell publicly. But I need the auditor, I need Mr. McClovick to give me the okay on that before we do that. We need to put more money back into our commissary, so we're not standing here before you guys asking for more money. And if we're spending it on the right things, then, I'm not standing here asking
Okay.
for more money. I'm working on somebody else's budget, but it's important to me right now that at the end of this budget, I can show the court that I've been able to manage it.
Good, thank you.
Yes,
Go ahead,
sir.
Squire Tanner.
Can I return to the valves, please?
Yes, sir.
I remember the whole thing and have numbers stuck in my head, which may not be correct, so I won't throw them out. But anyway, of those valves that you know of, do they work or do they not work, or do you check them regularly, or tell me what the problem is?
Well,
Actually,
I don't think they had been serviced regularly. I won't speak if they were or not. I don't know if anybody went in there. My biggest concern now, if you've seen what those look like, is if we turn them, what's gonna happen if I don't have another valve right there to replace it and be able, because the day we had that flood, we couldn't turn the water main off in the jail. The plant board had to come out and turn it off on their side because the valve wouldn't move. And I actually called my husband. He was a plumber for Whitehead Hancock, and he worked out there, and he said, it's under J-Pod. Go to that valve, turn that off. It'll turn it off on that side of the jail. And I even called the judge and asked if I could have your guys' maintenance man.
Yep.
It was something else out there. We are working on the valves, and that's what has us doing this deep dive, because we have to have one when we test it, ready to replace. They'll probably crumble. They'll probably crumble in our hand when we try to turn it. And we just have to be prepared. So to Squire Tanner, to answer your question, I don't know prior to me if they were testing them
Well,
regularly.
probably not, but, you know,
Probably
it's,
not, sir. You're
But maybe,
probably-
I shouldn't have said that.
I don't
My
know.
comment should have been, I hope they did.
Right.
All right, I know they have problems with valves in every water district there is here. Some of them
Yeah.
work because they don't. I'm not gonna point fingers at anything, but if you gotta turn those things on and off, or they'll stick. And if you don't
Preventative,
ever do that, I mean, that's a
Yeah.
very simple thing. Somebody's
Abs-
out of water in 1 minute.
yes, sir,
And you got them
absolutely.
back on or less than that, 20 seconds, or however long you screw it in, you screw it back up.
Right.
And some of them are those, cock shut deals where you just
They
turn
have
them
the
on.
handle.
All those
Yep.
bad?
Not all of them, and we have turned some of them. I think there's 8 different sizes of valves out there. So that's gonna be a huge cost to us, you know, as we turn them on and be prepared. That's why right now we would like to get a cost estimate to replace all of them that have not been replaced in the last, I don't know how old this energy savings bill is, but haven't been replaced since then. We would like to be able to do that. You know, the life expectancy of a jail is 20 years. We're going on 37 years. So if we haven't been doing preventive maintenance in the last decade, then we might be looking at the issues there, because we're not, you know, doing, I know when I arrived, excuse me, there was not a maintenance checklist that is done weekly, and there are things that need to be done, and it's not the same thing every week. But for fire suppression, our vents, you know, sometimes the inmates will cover them up because they're cold or they're hot. That can't happen. So, you know, not only officers will look at that, but our maintenance crew will need to go through and do all of those checks. So we have a checklist now that we are making sure we're staying on top of things before they become a bigger problem than what they are.
Squire Wisman.
Judge, in my 2 years on this court, we have talked about this jail at no end about this, and it's been just triage constantly about trying to address bigger concerns. I'm thinking it's finally time that we do a bit of a deep dive and not cherry pick individual aspects, because as you said, the jail's approaching 40 years old.
Yep.
And all of the mechanicals are coming to the end of their useful life. We really need to hire an engineering firm or something to go in. We were supposed to get a report from ESG about all those valves that have been replaced. I'm not sure if we ever got that. They were going to get the maintenance director, the mechanicals, schematics, access to digital controls for the heat and air. I don't know, I never got feedback if any of that happened. They were going to get us a digital and a physical copy of the renovations that occurred and ones that they suggested. Why don't we get an engineering group to go in and take us inventory of the entire jail as built, as is current, and make us formal recommendations about what needs to occur for renovations. We can have a longer-term, picture of this thing instead of cherry-picking these things. The cameras we knew, and we budgeted for that, right? And we were hoping that we would get a fence grant and be
Yes.
able to do both of those this year, so we were expecting that. But every time we seem to take another curve, there's a $200,000 bill with this jail or something that no one ever knew about because no one had been in that area happened, whether that was broken pipe
Yeah.
and insulation that was completely wet and falling through the roof in the dormitory, or the valve project that is halfway or partially finished, or the fire hydrant that hadn't been turned on and flushed in years and years and years out front, until we discovered that. So I'd like to see us move that direction immediately. Spring is here, it's a perfect time to get this done before the next budget.
For me, I think I'd like to call the energy company to the table. I mean, we spent just 5 years ago, close to $3.2 million. And I would rather try to hold their feet to the fire to see because they were supposed to do all those things. Obviously they didn't, so, I mean, and it's the will of the court what we want to do, and obviously this is in budget time, we can run this through a committee, but for me, I'd like to get them in here, see what they did, see what they're responsible for, and then go from there.
Well, I would say that'd be part of a larger evaluation of the facility, right? To my understanding, that contract was energy savings and performance in electrical and water and sewer effectively, right? Upgrades that
Roof
could be
and everything.
made, but
I mean, we did it all.
I don't know what the full scope of it is. I never have seen all of
Yeah.
those documents fully in yet, but it would seem to be there's other larger issues. We've talked about a couple of cracks, potential for impact from the blasting from the quarry, how it affects the building, and beyond, that I'd
Yeah.
like to see a bigger picture here, that we can start assessing what it is, and if it needs to be $100,000 a year for the next 10 years versus a new facility, what does that mean?
Right.
We need
Yeah.
bigger picture stuff instead of cherry picking.
Squire Tanner?
I was changing subject slightly. Since I don't know, for my information only, what kind of roof is it? Is it a rubber roof? Is it a tin roof? It's shingle roof?
It's
Tell me that.
flat and it's rubber, it's,
Membrane?
Yeah.
Taller membrane,
Built up.
yeah,
Flat with
which probably should have.
rubber roof, you
Yeah.
think?
yes, sir.
Did it leak before the ice? and
Yes,
snow?
we had, that happened before the ice, and I know that Fiscal Court Greg contacted me about having some inmates help them up there, and I said, wow, we're having the same problem, we're just pulling people off, but it was, yes, sir, prior to the ice storm.
Okay, let's continue if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. All right, Andrew. Our population report. Current population today was 231. 107 of those are Franklin County, 36 Anderson, 90 state inmates. And I thought I had another slide. The next slide, Andrew. Yeah, so we did a breakdown by age and race and gender. Our highest population by breakdown is, males, white males over the age of 30. All right.
Can I ask some questions?
Yes,
Go ahead,
sir.
Squire Tanner.
Please. On your breakdown, by your housing code breakdown, is that a day pulled out of the calendar? Is that
So,
average,
yes,
or
so
what?
today I did that. We run, of course, a population report every day, and we watch, our population trend. And the next one, we look at the next one, Andrea? Yeah, so this one right here shows our population, our highest population being failures to appear. And the next one is our possession of controlled substance, drug paraphernalia, as we go on down the list, wanton endangerment, PFOs, probation violations. This is who we're housing out there all the way to,
One more question.
Go ahead, Squire.
Parole violators, this one I'm looking at's got 4, but does the state pay for parole violators?
yes. So on our next slide, I think, Andrew, we will, oh, no, go back, go back 4, go one more. Oh, the revenue slide is what I was looking at. What would, Squire Tanner asked me one more time, what?
I just asked what.
Oh, well, yes,
I
and the
wasn't
answer is
sure whether
yes.
they paid for parole violators or not.
Yes, so that's going to show up there in our, in this, we've done a slides from July, when I came into office. Our Anderson County, our revenues there, it shows each month what we're getting from Anderson County. October, we started our SAP SOAR housing, our revenues there, state inmate pay. From July to November, we won't get December until this month at the end of, well, we're at the end of this month. We have had $2,000 in GED testing. Our MRT program, we're up to $9,000 there. When we came in, we had one lady charging us nearly $4,000 a month to come in and do class. I sent officers off to be trained to teach MRT, and all of the money up there is actually coming into the general fund of those MRT programs. The SAP and SOAR, that $8,150, the $7,000, that's money that's paid to us for treatment. So that column goes directly back out to Shepherd's House. So, but it's paid, they're paid in two separate checks when we get those. The state doesn't break that down for us, except for in the SAP and SOAR program. Our state work sites, we have two of those work sites. So we have guardrail and state transportation, and there's our, what has been paid into the general fund for those two job sites that we work.
Tracy, you said that this breakdown of the current inmates, that was a single day snapshot?
The
you've
population,
given
the
us.
number, yes, sir.
Could you give us a report later to send to us as well? I'd love to see like the whole of last year of all 2024.
Sure.
An average.
And we just did that through the KJA. We, the jailers across the state, everyone that has a working jail and open doors, we put in, and you guys might find this interesting, it may be what you want. We wanted to know how many bookings we had in ¡24 and how many refusals. The refusals are harder to get in there because we still have to book them in. But I can get you, that'll show how many people that were booked in.
Just the longer time, we always have things here that are quick turnaround.
Yes, sir.
Peaceful protest at the Capitol that may be arrested otherwise.
Right.
That fluctuates some, but I'm kind of wondering what's our
Right.
average. And
Right.
I've never really got a firm grasp on what the numbers are at the jail. We had word that before the pandemic, we were overpopulated, and since then we've been underpopulated, but
Right.
but
And-
we're
and
almost
I-
at capacity, so it doesn't seem to really follow any
Right.
reason.
Right. Well, and the Department of Corrections released a lot of people, of course, during the pandemic and then after the pandemic. So, our state inmates, that fluctuates a lot. They did a big open the door and, let people go that meet the criteria to be our Class D and go out in the public. We have more women working in our community now than we do men. And we just got the contract approved to move to the capacity of 80. When we came in, it was only for 40, but we're there for 80 and,
For our SAP and SOAR program?
for our SAP and SOAR, yeah.
So that was just upped.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, Jail Hopper, before you move on there, it's a good segue. I just want to thank Mr. Shane Smith. I'd asked him to come up with how many people in the jail work in our community, senior center, different places like that. He sent me a report. It averages 50 individuals, male and female, with basically about $30,000
On the
per-
next slide, Andrew.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah,
Sorry,
yes,
I'm
sir.
stealing your thunder.
Oh, no,
Damn,
no, no.
I'm sorry. Sorry, you were just
No.
talking about it. There we go.
No.
There we go.
Yeah, 2,000 hours of community service to
Yep.
Franklin County, And, you know, and we base that a little higher than minimum wage, you know, what we save the county and some of our nonprofits, you know, by going out and working for them.
Thank
So
you for getting
that's-
that information, because that's always been,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to know those numbers, you
Yeah,
know, what
that's,
do we put back
that's,
into the community?
that's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
You know, the more people we can get in that are trying to work on their self and get them out and working in the community is fantastic. You know, this SOAR program is amazing. I couldn't be prouder of what we have going on there, and I'm so excited. You know, Shane Smith has done fabulous things. I mean, we're chasing down, we're chasing a lot right now. We have a lot of things coming up with mental health, with our substance abuse. You know, we're trying to change that stigma of incarceration and mental health. While, you know, that's what comes through the back door. And if you look at our population of failures to appear, and Mr. Conley may or may not agree with me, but some of these are drug related and they don't want to show up to court because they know what's going to happen. They're ultimately going to be put in jail. So they're just, and I don't want to say avoiding it, but they're not ready to face the consequences because they're dealing with so many other things before they have to come to jail. Oh, there was a list there. Yeah, Andrew, thank you. Yeah, senior citizens, Thorn Hill, Franklin County Humane Society will start accepting animals. I think next week they'll come out and train the SAP ladies, and we'll foster dogs so we can get, so they'll be ready to go out. No one will be allowed to come to the jail and you know, look at the dogs or anything like that, but we'll get them ready. We'll keep them for 3 weeks and train them, socialize them, and then send them back to the Humane Society for, you know, hopefully they'll get adopted. And the Boys and Girls Club, we're there twice a week doing, you know, whatever Amy needs us to do.
She
Thorn
can be a
Hill
little
Education.
demanding.
I'm sorry.
I said she could be a little demanding. I knew she was sitting back there, seeing if she was paying attention.
Oh, there she is. Hey there. Yeah, so these are, you know, these are things that I'm excited about that we're giving back. And we don't have, I just asked someone about becoming part of the fair board, you know, and I want to make sure that we are extending out to Lakeview Park and doing everything we can out there for them as well.
Thank you.
You know.
2 questions.
Tim.
Oh, go ahead. Me,
You're up first, go ahead.
these agencies that are on here.
Yes, sir.
How are they decided who you put on, or is there a requirement that they be accepted by somebody, or is there some kind of, somebody else wanted to, what would make somebody else, or some other agency qualify for your help? I mean,
Nonprofit.
get that worded
Yeah,
correctly.
nonprofit. They would have to be a nonprofit
But they're-
or a county agency for us to be able to go out there. I know there was a big push and several people had reached out to me about, can you come out and shovel our driveway, you know, because they have a doctor's appointment. And I was so sad that I had to say no to that, you know, just because of the liability of going out and doing that. I wish we could have done that. But they have to be a nonprofit in order for us to go out. And
You decide if they're eligible, or if they have, provide the proof that they are
yeah,
non-profit.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And most of these have been, you know,
Well, I'm sure
lifelong
all these
partners.
all these are very worthy, and I'm sure.
Yes, sir, absolutely they
But I
are.
do have one more question, and you kind of brought it up. You don't shovel sidewalks because of the liability issue. So is there a protocol if that's on somebody who gets dog bit?
For, what do
An
you,
inmate rehabilitated
sure.
a dog,
So-
and if they bite, get bit?
yeah. So the Department of Corrections came out, we have a meeting about that. They had to approve it before I could say it. So it wasn't just me saying I wanted to do this, the Department of Corrections, and they have these in other jails and at Pee Wee Valley at the women's prison, that they bring dogs in from local facilities and do this. This wasn't something that, you know, that has not been done before. And they have to be trained by the Humane Society. They sign a waiver for us that they want to participate in this program.
So they sign a waiver, if they get dog bit, they ain't gonna sue the county, or they're not gonna sue the county.
Well,
As good as the paper is written on.
they sign that piece of paper. They sign that piece of paper. They also sign that they can't, or their family cannot adopt the dog that they work with too. And those are for reasons that the Humane Society is, set in place.
Squire Wisman, did you have a question?
Never mind.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Is that it?
Is that the conclusion?
Something that was skipped over was the
Hey,
staffing.
Squire?
Oh, staffing. Do we have another?
Thank you.
Staffing.
Going somewhere, I saw it.
Yeah.
It's in there, it's just,
It's in there.
if we have
All
some
right.
questions about
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
43 full-time positions. We have 42 current and 1 vacant support staff spot. And we're getting ready to increase our population by 60. So.
Has it been pretty consistent? I mean, how's your turnover been? Just because I don't know,
I
we
mean,
talk a lot, but I haven't asked
Yeah,
that question.
and people still come in and decide it's not for them.
Yeah.
That's just gonna happen. We had a staff meeting today, and then I had a meeting with the supervisors, and we're talking and focusing on retaining staff. My supervisors have to be the ones, we're trying to change the culture out there. I don't want somebody to come in and say, this isn't for me because of our behavior. We have to change this. And we're working on that. We're doing a good job of, so far, retaining people.
Good.
We're here where we didn't think, 6 months ago that we were going to be fully staffed.
Good.
And we went back to, and I said this in the last meeting, 12-hour shifts. So we run, and, their staff is sending me pictures from the bowling alley, from going out and sledding and having dinner together. Morale is fantastic right now, and we're very proud of what we're doing out there at the jail. And the officers are very proud of what they're doing out there.
You should be, thank you. All right, what other questions we have the jailer or any of her team that is here with us tonight?
Am I missing a slide?
Something about
The
the
last
grants.
one about the grants, yes, so we submitted the grants.
Andrew, can you find it?
Yep, there it was. We attended our first ASAP meeting, which was fantastic, and we went to a forum with Fresh Start and met with some of the city commissioners, not all together, and not too many at one time, but we met with our city commissioners, and, we're excited and are very hopeful that this money comes through and we can partner and start a great partnership with a lot of people here in Franklin County. We want the image of the jail to be a lot different.
We appreciate that. Any other questions, concerns, comments from the court before we move on?
All
Thank
right,
you very
thank you,
much,
sir.
jailer.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Alrighty, and here is, nope, I'm not gonna do that. It's, sorry, I was jumping ahead. Our road superintendent, Mr. Duke Wilburn, is with us tonight.
How's the court?
We're doing well. You probably don't know what to do with this warm temperature. No jacket
Pretty
today.
nice, pretty nice.
Yeah.
I'd like to update the court on the road department facility, as well as what the crews have been doing, last 2 or 3 weeks. As far as being able to get into our, new garage, it's getting a whole lot closer. I mean, we're really close, but, I think the only thing right now is holding us up is HVAC, inspection. They've got a little bit of work to do on it. Still got a couple vents to get through the roof.
So,
which was supposed to have been done today, but it didn't get done, so.
all right,
I
so
did-
they have started the venting though through the roof, or they haven't started?
They have not. They
have
worked
not
on
started,
the
okay.
HVAC units, getting them up and running.
Duke, I will say Wes called me just 30 minutes ago to fill me in. Said, I'm sorry, we didn't get the holes punched. Units are in, they'll be there tomorrow, we promise. and the inspection set up for Friday morning for our CO. So that
That's
was
awesome.
pretty recent. You and I haven't talked since, yes, so.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the judge made a few calls, there wasn't anything getting done, and, he made a couple calls and things started to move, so. Hopefully we'll be in soon. You know, if we can just get a temporary CO, that'd be great. They did get the handrail up on the mezzanine. It looked pretty good. And then short of that, they like some painting and pretty much just a punch list type work, so. And then start on once we get in the new facility down there, then they can start on the old garage rehabbing it.
Do you know what timeline is on that, to resheet that and roof it? A couple weeks?
So what it's gonna take to do it? My guess is, well, if everybody shows up to work, 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, yeah.
we're supposed to get windows. I talked to him today, Wednesday, he's supposed to be there to put the windows in, so. That's something that was on the county to do, the 4 new windows on that. And then as far as what the road crew's been doing, as you all know, we had that big snow and ice storm on the 5th. And we got 4 brand new guys that had never, ever worked snow before. And they got broke in really well, so, but they done good. They done great, actually. And, I mean, the whole crew did, so.
Duke, I would say on that, we've had more compliments on the road department with this snowstorm. Lexington missed the bucket on it.
Right.
They're still suffering, and, but even compared to all the other counties, I mean, for you to have 4 new guys on those crews, you all did an amazing job. And actually yesterday, and I forgot, I didn't have time to call you today, the superintendent of schools started his State of the Community address off by applauding the road department and what amazing job they did in Franklin County to keep their kids safe. So I think on behalf of the court, and I'm sure there's other members going to say something here, but yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's a big
And
deal.
And I've got several, numerous calls, bragging on
Yeah.
the way they took care of the roads, so it's a good feeling when that happens. And then we had, a couple weeks there where we couldn't do a whole lot of road work. It was below 0, and we worked on trucks and just did maintenance. Luckily, we were able to get in the new garage and do, clean trucks, do that sort of thing. So right now, we've started back out on the road, cutting trees back. We had several mailboxes we had to replace.
They tend to jump in front of some trucks.
Well, a lot of them are just barely hanging when you start off anyway, so. And people, it can't be helped.
It happens.
You get 10 inches of snow and ice, it's gonna happen, so.
Here comes a truck, move that mailbox out of the truck.
And then, of course, we're running a patch crew about every day now, trying to fix some of these potholes that comes along during the winter.
Squire Wisman.
Well, if I could take a step back to the project, I wonder if we could get a written update sent to the whole court about milestones and where we are with those. I thought we had a fall date for something yesterday that I remembered from a contract, but I could be way off. But I'm kind of wondering, we've had a lot of verbal updates, but I've not had anything sort of, 60% what amount we've spent other than bills that have been coming in. I'd like to see some of that if somebody could ask the contractor. I'm sure they can put that together for us really quickly. And then just a compliment to the guys, just 4 or 5 days, I drove nearly every road in my entire district, all the way to the river and the county lines to make sure the roads were clear so our trash could come and collect. And that's a whole other story. Some did and some didn't. But every road was,
Here we go.
farthest tiniest little offshoot was clear, and even some of the state roads we take care of, I know we're in better shape than some of the state roads. So I had just innumerous compliments because I was deluded with comments about trash, and while we were talking about those, they were complimenting the roads. So from at least 50 constituents, 30 phone calls, and probably 70 Facebook messages, the unanimous feeling was to please congratulate the guys. And even some of my residents knew that their route was being done by someone for the first time that had never, that one of the new hires, and they wanted to compliment them and said that the first route they figured it out, and the second route they really got it good, so.
Yeah, I was really proud of it, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
All people need to do is a look, and they can tell real quick the county did a great job. All they gotta do is look.
All right, anything else for Duke Wise with us tonight? All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you very much. Tell all the guys we said thank you.
Sure will.
Yep. Alrighty, now, judge's report. Been pretty busy around here. Belinda and I met with a couple agencies, but we had a really good meeting with McCarthy Strategic Solutions. Did a bunch of Facebook updates when, Duke was talking about all these weather things to make sure warming stations were open and things like that. So we did a lot of work behind the scenes on that. Kind of had a disturbing meeting, I hate to say, with Sheriff's Department and Mothers on Demand. There's a big gun violence issue going on in our schools. So we are working on trying to help them figure that out. We actually had to put some more cameras up at Lakeview Park because they're meeting up there. So we're trying to be able to get evidence to get a hold of these kids, and they're kind of stealing. I want to remind the public that's watching, please lock your doors. You know what I mean? The car doors are staying open. That's where they're mostly getting the guns. And garage doors open. So if anybody's watching, let's work on that, please. Presented the school board members with a proclamation, and I also swore the new members in. Went to a regional comprehensive plan meeting at Chamber of Commerce of Lexington. Had a meeting with the new owners of the hotel down here with the governor and the mayor. So that was a good discussion we had there. But I'm excited that they bought the Capitol Plaza Hotel, and they're going to be starting renovations. Actually went to Washington DC. I drove up there, had dinner with Congressman Comer, talked about a bunch of things here in Franklin County. Had a sewer meeting, and then we had another one today that Squire Dykes attended, and Autumn, our planning director. We also had a great opioid task force discussion meeting, and then yesterday I went with Charlie Kendall to Bluegrass Ad because the next meeting we're going to be forming working groups. So that's going to be exciting. We're going to do it at the library, so I'll let you all know when we get that. We just got approval today that we can use the room, so I'll let you all know when that is. You all brought up trash. That has been a huge hot topic. I know I've talked to each and every one of you. Allie and I have had multiple meetings. We finally, and our Deputy Kennedy, we finally had a meeting last Wednesday, and we just let it all go. And Thursday morning, they were out driving every route. We haven't really had any complaints since. We had one complaint today, I think Roaring Springs out there, but they're tweaking it. But it has improved 1,000% since last Wednesday. So hopefully that will continue. Belinda and I went to a transportation conference. Pretty amazing. You know, I thought it was just going to be about roads and bridges, but they talked more about AI. They talked about drones flying things from one place to another. They talked about aircraft using the smaller airports to deliver things. So it was pretty eye-opening, not what I expected. I was able to speak at the Martin Luther King celebration. It was rescheduled because of the cold weather. So that was on Sunday evening with Reverend Whitlock and a bunch of amazing people here in our community. That went very, very well. And it was probably the biggest turnout they've ever had. I think everybody knows that the First Watch is open. I can't say enough good things. I met the founder and CEO, super nice guy. And they're looking to do more in our community, so that's exciting. State of the Community was yesterday. I believe Squire Sebastian was there. That was it was, oh, there's us. So there's Tish Shade of the Chamber, myself with an interesting look on my face, Mary Lane Wilkerson, and then I believe Dr. Akapo was there with Kentucky State University. Mark Kopp was there with the schools, and then Dr. Sherry Satterley with the independent schools, and we just kind of updated everybody on what happened last year and kind of what we're doing for next year or this year. So I think it's the best event of that the Chamber does put on. So it was attended by, it was a record crowd. It was over 200 people there. So it was very, very nice. Yesterday I met with Ms. Erica Hancock. We had a great discussion. She is our new House rep. I think all you all know that. She's excited. She's already got to work, so she looks forward to talking with each and every one of you all. And then today actually was well, they've renamed it Sakeet Lane Board, at the industrial thing. It got renamed today. There was the first meeting that happened to be held here. It went well. There was a lot of people from the community here. But I've asked Max, because one of the things afterwards, we couldn't really do a Q&A because it was a special meeting, but I made multiple meeting dates with people that want to talk about the project. But the most thing I heard was, you're going to eminent domain our family's farm. And that is farthest from the truth that we can get. But it's interesting that people are spreading that rumor. So I literally had 3 different people come up to me after the meeting with a motion saying, we're 4th generation and you're going to take our farm. And I said, absolutely not. We don't even have the authority to do it, nor would we ever do it. So I asked Max, and I hope I'm kind of putting him on the spot a little bit. I am. And I apologize. I know you've been busy, I've been busy. But can you speak on that just for a minute, just so anybody watching out there who has heard that misinformation maybe understands that that's not something that we intend to do or can do.
And if the public wants to look at, and I know sometimes you can do your own little legal research online, but it's actually KRS 416-675 subsection 3 that states no provision in the law of the Commonwealth shall be construed to authorize the condemnation of private property for transfer to a private owner for the purpose of economic development that benefits the general public only indirectly, such as by increasing the tax base, tax revenues, or employment, or by promoting the general economic health of the community. So that statute directly on point prevents that. And so, if that's what's going around, if you want to pull up and do a little Google search, like I said, 416-675 subsection 3, and you can view it for yourself.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you bringing that up, and I apologize for the late conversation with you about that. Also, lastly, I'm going to end with, we have a lot of boards. The Fiscal Court has a lot of arms. We have a lot of boards, and we have amazing people on those boards, everything from water boards to sanitation to extension and everything else. But we're getting to the point that some people's terms are going to be up, and I'm going to urge the members of the court, if you know anybody that's willing to serve, anybody watching out there, you can go online to our website, just download the application. But we need some good willing people other than the ones that typically serve. And I mean, we're 53,000 people. I mean, we hopefully can get some more people interested to serve with us. So in that, I am done, and we're going to keep moving. Oh, Squire Blackburn.
You said that the Keaton Lane Authority changed their name. Do you know the new name?
I have it written down, but Frankfurt Anderson Commerce Frankfurt Anderson Commerce and Technology Center.
You said Frankfurt?
Frankfurt Anderson? Franklin Anderson.
Thank you.
Sorry, yeah.
Franklin Anderson?
It's FACT for short, Commerce and Technical Park, I think. And again, Penny has all the information if anybody wants to talk about that. But they actually, there was a resident out there who wasn't happy that we named it after the road because it's their family farm, and we don't want anybody upset. So the name got changed. It was good. It was good. So.
Judge, can I ask a point of clarification? It was mentioned to me by someone at one point that there was a need, I think in our meeting, a need to place people on that board for its initial creation, and then we were going to review permanent appointments, or have those appointments already been made permanently to that body? This is their first meeting, right?
Yeah.
Or do we have that information? Can that be shared with us?
As far as who's representing us on the board?
What their terms are, and are those permanent or meant to be permanent, or there's still need to find folks to fill out that
I
body?
think we're okay on that right now. They voted today on, president, vice president, secretary. Our members are, the city's members are Laura Haig and Clay Hewlett, and our members are Chad Peach and Keith Lee. So they voted on that today, and they'll be meeting, I believe they said, every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. The last Wednesday of the month at 1 o'clock, and they're going to alternate between Frankfurt and Anderson County. And then so Chad Peach is the chair. I can't remember her name.
Amanda Schooner.
Was that?
Amanda, shoot.
Yeah, she's with
Schoonover.
Anderson
I'm sorry,
County, she's the
Schoonover.
vice chair, and then Keith Lee is the
Secretary.
secretary. Thank you. Mr. Squire Harrod was here, so thank you for having your notes with you. So, yep.
Okay, I know the mayor and the judge get to appoint those typically, but I thought those were going to come back for us to evaluate, so it sounds like those are permanent going forward then, okay.
Yeah, and I
That answers
think
the question.
some of them are 2 years, some of them 4 years starting out, so they don't overlap all at the same time. So we'll have to maybe get with Penny to see, I don't know what names went where. I think they were doing that after the meeting today, or maybe the next meeting, as far as the slots. They were gonna alternate, when they're up for renewal.
Well, I'd like that put on our website with our,
Yeah.
as soon as possible with our other boards and appointments on there, so.
Okay. Yeah, we
Keep
can do
that current for the public to be able to contact
Yep,
us.
absolutely. Alrighty, moving on, we're gonna go ahead and jump down to our minutes from our special meeting of January 7th, 2025. Is there any concerns, comments on that?
Yeah, Judge, quick things. There was not a housing discussion with Mike Hines
I'm sorry,
that,
what?
on the minutes. It says that under work session, that housing discussion with Mike Hines, he did not get to attend.
Oh.
I'm sorry about that. I'll remove that.
Yep. Good catch, Squire. Anything else?
And I'm gonna start making it a point that, I've asked several times that the work session reflect more of what we discussed, just like the presentation that was made by the jail tonight, or if Mr. Hines had been able to attend, that would be a pretty lengthy discussion that would have had some pertinent information. And beyond our recording of these meetings, none of the directives or agreements or any questions for additional reports or anything that we ever request are recorded in our minutes. So I'm going to start making it a point to vote against every minute recording unless we change that. I just think that whether it's required by KRS or not, I know that that is subjective in some ways. There's a lot of information that we're effectively running one meeting as two, but the really one meeting here, that we've got to start putting more of that information in there just for our own purposes and for longevity of people that go back and try to understand our actions and questions we've asked before and so on. So just some
Okay.
commentary there, but that's the only edit that I had.
Okay, thank you, Squire. Anybody else? Alrighty, next I believe Mr. Jeff Hancock, our county clerk, is with us. Good evening, sir.
Hey, how you guys?
Doing well.
Good afternoon, court, judge. I come bearing good news of money, and Squire Blackburn says I ought to tell you that this is an awesome thing, and this is the best day that I get to come present, because all I got to do is tell you I'm turning over a bunch of money. So I'm not paraphrasing, that's exactly how he said it.
Just give it to the jailer.
And, this is our budget, this is our end of the year. We have exceeded our expectations. We try to continue to move that budget so it can be a real snapshot of what we're looking at. We did not overexpend any of our expenditure lines. Once again, the delinquent tax number is just a really hard find to figure out how to get your finger pinpointed on it. The delinquent tax number moves at such a rapid pace based on if we have a rather large tax segment that does not pay and then it becomes delinquent. So it really goes up and fluctuates quite a bit, but overall I'm very proud of this budget. We didn't overspend on any line items. Today I'm going to present a $492,000 check. I will not be giving the entire $547 because we hold back a 10% retainage fee to avoid me wearing Amy out, whether it bill or something that would come in advertently from 2024. And I will give that to you all as soon as we can, hopefully by the middle of the second meeting in February.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jeff. Does anybody have any questions or comments for?
Squire Blackburn, did I say it the right way?
Probably close enough.
Okay.
Squire Sebastian, is that your hand? Microphone, please, so I don't get in trouble. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you for being with us. I just have a quick question, and it doesn't have to be answered today because there may be some research that has to be done.
Okay.
As I understand, there may be a bill coming before the General Assembly about the ad valorem tax. So again, I'm only just saying if there's more information at some point that you might be able to give us.
$274,952 is what we'll lose annually.
Yeah, there has to be a number quantifiable at some
Yeah.
point, so.
I already,
Do you-
matter of fact, the treasurer, Amy, started asking me about this, and I think it's a very legitimate question. I'm not so sure that, in a year like this where we have a presidential election, we were still able to come out and return over $520,000 in excess fees. If you start taking 574 direct revenue to our community, and that's 4% of what we take in. So that's direct revenue back to you guys to spend as needed. I really think that we need to start thinking about what that truly looks like.
Yeah, I agree.
Where is the money gonna come from?
So I had asked her earlier if there was some quantifiable number. The only reason I asked today is to give time to bring that back, but it sounds like you all have had that conversation. Do you know if the Clerks Association plans to
We're
at least
addressing it
make
right,
a-
we're addressing it right now. The Clerks Association, the problem that you see with 120 clerks is 120 different sizes. Where 274,000 is not gonna completely break or shut us down. You've got counties out there that will not be able to pay their payroll, will not be able to make any of their payments back to their county for the people that collect the taxes. So, it's a true concern of the Clerks Association right now. We have not taken a stance on the bill at this point, but we are watching it very closely.
Thank you.
I want to add one more thing. The January renewal notices did not go out from the state of Kentucky.
I've had, I can't tell you how
Yeah.
many calls, and I spoke with somebody at the state about it because I know it's not a local issue. So,
This is not a local issue, but guys, we're trying our best to do what we can. Right now, our tax revenues coming in look like they're about a quarter of what they should be. They're a quarter of what they should be because no one's gotten a bill in the mail. No one knows that, well, everybody, your taxes on your cars are due in the month that you're born in 99% of the situation. So if you have a January birthday, they are in the system. You just haven't gotten a card yet. So if you all could help get the message out there that we are there, we're available. We had one taxpayer that was extremely agitated and it just happened to be a perfect storm. His insurance didn't download into the system, so he couldn't renew it online. Our phone lines went down at 4 o'clock today completely, and he has no renewal notice. So I understand his frustration, but when, 2 or 3 of the things are out of our control, we're here to service, but we can't supersede and send our own bills out. So I want you all to please share that on your Facebook, share that in your messaging. We're here, we're trying to answer the phones as quick as we can. I think we fielded, we tried to keep tally marks and 350 individual phone calls today on how much is my car tax. So please get it out there that we're there to help, and we'd be glad to. And on our Facebook page, we put the drive, KY.gov on there yesterday, so anybody that wanted to renew their tags. And if there is something out there where the state chooses to take away any penalties, I'll make sure that you all know so you can help spread the message.
Squire-Dikis, did you have your hand up? No. Okay, thank you. Squire Tanner?
I was asking if you know, with the revenue bill we're talking about here, is it gonna have an effect on the sheriff also? Or do you know that?
No, this is an ad valorem tax bill, and it'd be the state ad valorem only. So what you're looking at is them cutting that off. Usually bills take several years to get true traction. I'm not going to speak for the General Assembly because you never know what they may pass or what they may, but when they see the amount of revenue base that comes in, I'm for cutting every tax we can cut, but we also have a job to do, and the job to do is to make sure we're paving roads, protecting citizens, and doing everything else we have to do. So I don't foresee this coming to pass this year, but I would assume this conversation continues and continues and continues until
It's come up
something
before, I
happens.
believe.
I haven't seen it at this level in my 10 years.
Well, that's a while back, about general collection, anyway.
All right, Jeff, thank you for being with us. And please thank your team. Oh, that's a technicality. Let me guess. Do you need a pen? Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, here you go. He doesn't give me the check because he didn't sign it. I mean, come on.
That's what the man
He's gonna walk out with it. Thanks, Jeff. I was hoping for a big check.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, no, I meant like in size, you know, like, okay. Alrighty, next, I believe, Amy Snow, if you'd like to come to the podium, please. And then, I believe Squire Dykes has worked on this too, and I know a little bit of everybody's worked on this, so why don't we just jump into it?
Takes a
and-
team to keep all this
It
together.
does take a team, so why don't you kind of tell us what's in front of us, please? I think we all know, but go ahead and tell us.
Well, I'd like to start, it's been a pretty emotional past 24 hours with the freeze on federal grant funding, which would directly impact our ability to operate and pay staff. Of course, that was rescinded today. I would especially like to thank Belinda and Amy. They called me first thing yesterday morning as I was walking into the State of the Community meeting to offer their assistance with doing an immediate reimbursement and drawdown. So that really just meant the world to me that they called me literally by 8:30 in the morning. I guess I'm here for two reasons tonight. First is to discuss our grant funding and the renewal of that grant. So it has been posted on the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention website. Right now, it is not currently posted. It went down yesterday. But we are moving forward with the writing of that grant. If that opportunity is not available, we'll use that grant. We'll find another grant to go after. But the grants.gov and the Just Grants deadline are February 6th and then February 20th. So the discussion of that, kind of the background there, we have our SAMS number. We wanted to be able to apply for this as an individual organization because they had opened the funding up to nonprofits. But in our discussion with our grant administrator, who we meet with monthly, they explained just the background of that they would first pull our DUN score, kind of like a credit score, and if we did not meet their benchmark, they wouldn't even read our grant application. So that kind of ping-ponged us back here just to ask this court to consider submitting the application on our behalf as well. So I don't know what discussion we need on that. One thing that I had discussed with Belinda is we are writing into the budget 5% for reimbursement to the court. That would be $12,500 per year, which is in line with Bluegrass Ad. So I wanted to move forward if the opportunity's there. If it's not, I guess I'll come back. Let's talk about another grant opportunity. Do we need any
I'm going to
discussion on
see if
that?
there's any discussion. Squire Sebastian.
Thanks, Judge. Thanks for coming tonight. Because I am sure your heart probably skipped a whole lot of beats.
I do.
And there were a lot of thoughts that I had, and I communicated those to the treasurer, so it was a rough day for sure yesterday. In reviewing this agreement, I had double-checked with our county attorney to see if it's something that he drafted, because I just had a question. There were several words in here in bold, and I'm not sure if that has some extra significance to this. And there was also a quick typo that I needed to.
I think this may be another agenda item.
Maybe the second
It's the
agenda
second
item.
agenda item I think you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about 4. Aren't we on 4?
Yeah, I'm on 4. There's some
We're supposed to
highlighted.
be on 4.
There's some bold in here.
There's some bold in here.
Yeah, and I just didn't know if that had some extra
Amy, it is-
significance, so that I asked it for that
Sure.
reason.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
You want to see mine?
Yeah,
There's just 4 words that.
yeah, grant, use
There's just some
disorders,
stuff that's
disorders,
in bold.
these.
I didn't know if it had
Yeah.
extra significance for some reason.
I'm not sure. I mean, I did not bold those personally. But this is on the second issue.
Oh, well, that's first on our agenda.
Okay.
Sorry, here's our agenda, so we're
Sorry, I
following
haven't seen
this,
the
yeah.
issue, the agenda. I haven't seen this print. All right, so in regards to this MOU, this is very similar to Franklin County ASAP Council when Charles Kendall presented several months ago, we applied for grant funding, and the issue with that is being able to hire a quality person without any type of benefits. And so we wanted to be able to create a position that would work with, well, the essence of the grant, it's called a prevention specialist. And this staff person will work directly with juveniles in our community who are actively using opioids. So at the time that we wrote the grant, we had identified about a dozen. And then the second population would be juveniles who are greatly at risk for opioid use. Part of that information does come from the data that we collect from the jail where parents self-report opioid use, and we're able to identify their children that way. So we're just asking that this court would consider establishing this position within the county attorney's office.
So,
I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to close the loop on the question. So
Yes.
I'm assuming I really couldn't see anything that made those stand out or gave them extra significance, but I definitely needed to ask because they were in there for some reason in this way.
I can tell you
We
more
can
than,
take
more
the
than
vote.
likely, when it went from probably one format
Google
to
Doc.
another,
Yes.
it just
It just did that?
did that.
Okay.
Because I can tell you the other one does not have
No.
the other one with ASAP, and so we can
It doesn't.
definitely
But I just-
unbold those terms, because
It was just odd because it was in there and I didn't know if it meant there was some extra significance
No.
to some of these terms.
No.
Or they meant something different.
We'll
The only
revise
other
that.
thing I just wanted to point out, which was what I had asked earlier, because I don't like to do this in a meeting, but in the second whereas clause, there, the second line at the end where it says desire, that should be desires.
Okay.
But I just don't like to do that
We will
at meetings, but
make those revisions.
yeah.
And so the salary there are, Wanda Joyce would sub-award the salary amount to county government.
Squire Dykes, you had a question or a comment?
I just have a comment. Many of us have talked about a position like this for years and years and years. Because we have not had anyone to deal with prevention and treatment with our youth. We just have not had that in this community. So I am so excited about this, and I think everybody should be. It's how we prevent adult use and all the issues that come with it. So I just want you guys to know that I am really behind this.
Yeah.
And I think it is the way to use these funds. And
And I'm a-
and I want to thank Elizabeth and Amy and everybody that's worked on it because, yeah, it's awesome.
And I'm going to go ahead and share this with the court. So last week when we had that opioid meeting, we invited Gene Dunphy, who's with the Bluegrass Ad. He's been in this type of work. He's an addict himself. He's been around a long, long time. Bluegrass Ad has, yeah.
Former addict.
Yeah, former, yes, that's right. Anyways, so he's a great guy, specializes in housing, specializes in a lot of these things. We kind of got done the meeting, and he sat back and he said, I'm gonna tell you all this. Franklin County is so far ahead of anyone else in the state for the wraparound services, the prevention. They asked me yesterday, or he did, if I would consider being on the state board, because he sees the passion that we have to try to help people before, and Jailer, don't take this the wrong way, we want to stop sending people your way. And I know you said that before, you want people to stop coming. So for me, this is all about prevention and things like that. So again, thanks Belinda, Elizabeth, Amy, everybody for working on this. Squire Tanner, you had a question or a comment?
No, it is a question.
Okay.
And maybe I shouldn't ask it, but I will anyway, because
Because that's what you did.
I'm not real smart sometimes. No, in number 3, it says it is mutually agreed as follows. WJRL shall pay the county $56,650 from grant funds. It don't say what grant.
It's our opioid grant
Well,
that
should
we
it say that
directly.
in here? Because it sure doesn't say where it's coming from other than a grant.
It says, I guess, in the very top, the first whereas Wanda Joyce applied and received Kentucky opioid abatement grant
Well,
funds.
it also goes in
So I
that on the
can-
next page too.
I can title
but-
that
but
down
right-
there.
Right there, it just says it's gonna be from grant funds. Doesn't
Right.
necessarily mean it's coming from that one.
Right, we can put the title that's in the top
But I don't know it
paragraph.
matters.
Better be clear.
We can do that.
Squire Westman.
Judge, I'm considering the action that was taken yesterday and the massive recoil that happened today, I think it would be prudent for our organizations like Wanda Joyce Robinson, maybe even some others, for us to be the fiscal agent more often than not, or primarily. So I'm happy to support any application. I think this court maybe holds a stronger position if things change in the future that we need to defend grant funds or draw them faster than maybe some of our nonprofit agencies have staffing to do. So I will support your request and maybe sort of say that let's look at how we can better assist all of our agencies. And if that means hiring Belinda a second in the future, I would be happy to do it. Any money that comes into the community is well worth the time and effort to do it. But I'm just wondering if maybe we should think a little bit strategically about how to best guard ourselves in the future. Just say it that way. So you ask if we would be the fiscal agents, and I will say wholeheartedly, let's do. And
Thank
if
you
anything
for
you
that.
can look for, I think we would be, or at least from my position, I'm agreeable to be the fiscal agent for anything that helps our community and, that we can go forward, maybe put us in a stronger position too for those funds.
We
So,
appreciate that, and really just on behalf of our entire Franklin County Alliance that we have with all the nonprofits, on behalf of them, I would say thank you for that.
Thank you, Squire. Squire Dykes.
Can you tell the court how much the benefits package that we would be contributing is? Or can, our treasurer maybe can do that for us?
So the retirement, the taxes, and the benefits would be the court's responsibility. It's roughly $22,000 for the year. Since we're starting mid-year, that's just under $10,000, and that has not been budgeted.
You said had been budgeted?
No.
No, has not been, okay. Forgot my hearing aid.
Okay, so we have basically two agenda items in front of us for Wanda Joyce. Does anybody have any other questions or comments on either one of them before we move on? I'm sorry, Mr. County Attorney, I wanted to talk to you because this position would be housed in your office, so I'd like you to say whatever you'd like to say.
I know the court back several months ago graciously gave us another employee to be able to do this at the adult level. And Ms. King has been paying dividends in all of her connections that she is making in this community and helping people out literally every single day fight the disease that we see on a daily basis. And what we would like to do, and when this was brought to me by Ms. Snow, and actually one of the judges, Judge Manget, approached me about this. So this is not just a situation where the courts are wanting to get involved in this as well, to be able to get this early prevention so we can possibly not be treating as many adults. And that's the ultimate hope of this. And with this position being housed in my office, they're going to have access to the courts. Being with Ms. Snow's group, they're going to have access to all different types of services, including through the school and through Thornhill and all that. So I just think that this is a great benefit to the community overall to get people the help that they actually need instead of just incarcerating people for substance use disorders. It's actually getting people help. And you can literally see it day in and day out. And so I think it's a great benefit for the county overall.
Well said, thank you. All right, anything else before we move on? All right, Amy, thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Next is Belinda. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you guys?
Doing well, thank you for being with us.
Well, this is approval for the second part of what Amy was talking about, for the application for a Second Chance Act for incarcerated parents and their minor children grant from the Department of Justice. with the Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation as the subrecipient to continue their work to benefit children, youth, and families impacted by incarceration in Franklin County. And the Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation plans to apply for $750,000 over a 3-year grant period with no required match. As she mentioned, this year we're going to add to that $12,500 per grant year, which is equal to 5% of the total grant amount, for oversight to cover our fiscal court costs for the work we do with the grant. Amy is approved that, and Amy Snow is also on board with it, as she mentioned. And I also checked with the grant administration team at the federal level, and they believed that 5% was an appropriate amount to budget for that. They did say if there's any issues, we can do budget adjustments throughout the life of the grant. And let's see, she also mentioned, the freeze has been rescinded. We don't know exactly when the application will be open again, but we hope it'll be very soon, and we're hoping for your all's approval this evening so that we can be ready to roll as soon as it's posted again.
And so I just want to share with the court, the reason when we talked about some money to help manage this grant, because it's a big grant to manage. And I know in between grant writers, when Amy was taking care of it, it takes quite a bit of time. And so we all know that we want to do a lot of big things here. We want to go after more grants. Squire Wisman just said, if we need another person, we need to look at that. But we just thought it was fair, and Amy's own organization agreed. So I appreciate you working on this and coming up with that figure, and I think it's fair for everybody. Squire Sebastian, do you have your hand up?
I do.
Yep.
Thank you, Judge. Will we be responsible, or will Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation be responsible for hanging on to all the files once they go for the archival process? I meant to ask that in the last time, because I've advocated for administrative fees to every grant we get in here if we have to handle it. And I'm thankful that our treasurer has spoken up and said that we absolutely have to have it, because there's a huge time commitment. But there are also other resources that come into play. There are lots of resources, backup data, lots of other things. So I wasn't sure if the responsibility is going to fall on the court now for like archival purposes and that kind of thing. If that record keeping becomes ours, or if it's directly with Wanda. And you all may not have the answer. I don't have to have it today, but I just wanted to see where that's ultimately going to fall, because somebody will have to do that.
I have not confirmed this,
Yeah.
but I would assume as the direct grant recipient
That'd be us.
that
That's
we
what
would need to
I
be sure
think
and
so
have.
too.
Because we will be audited when there is an audit for this, not the subrecipient. They could also be audited, but
That's what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
but, because then that adds 10 years to record
Yeah.
keeping. It adds a lot on our plate, not just for the life of this grant. So I just want to, because I had spoken to the treasurer at length about this amount, and to make sure, because typically how this happens is a sheet is sent down for a state agency, it's sent down, you talk about things and you go negotiate that administrative cost rate, and it changes every year. So I just don't want us to be stuck in something that we're going to have a long-term commitment with this, and that those funds are going to run out before our commitment ends. I'm only just making that point. All right, thank you.
All righty. Belinda, I think we're good. Let's go to the next one.
I think that's me too.
Yes, it's the lobbying services.
So, at the request of Fiscal Court, the County Judge Executive's Office undertook a search for a lobbying firm to represent Fiscal Court at both the state and federal level. McCarthy Strategic Solutions, LLC, was selected after multiple recommendations and an interview process, and funding for this agreement is budgeted.
Any questions on this?
I got comments. Could I make them?
Go ahead, Squire.
I've known him for a long time. He's an excellent lobbyist. He has the contacts that's needed to help Franklin County. And we got many issues on the table right now. And when are we can we meet with him, or do you meet with him, or how's that going to come
No, the way it's
down?
going to be, and that's one of the things that I really liked about it when we did the interview process. They want to go ahead and start setting up meetings. Literally, they'll call everybody tomorrow if we sign this tonight, and they want to individually have meetings with everybody, and then they'll compile a list of everybody's request, and then we can get back together and shoot them in a direction, so.
Well, there's three things that affect us, the county fiscal court, financially floating around out there right now. One of them is the tax collection, centralizing that.
Yep.
So all our money goes to the state, and then we gotta beg somebody to get it back, because that's how the ad directors were developed on the revenue sharing days, which I'm probably the only one here old enough to know what happened then. But I remember it. The other thing is manufactured home language is coming out of the planning and zoning regulations. That term may be eliminated altogether. I don't know how people here feel about it. It has legs because of they're building a plant in Elizabethtown. It's 5,000 people gonna come there with nowhere to live, and it does have some legs, and I don't know what it need to be thinking about.
If you could maybe reach out to Autumn tomorrow, because Keiko called me today about that bill right there. And
It's a
and
big
they
deal.
called
It has
Autumn.
legs. I don't know what a passport or
So
not,
if
but
you could maybe tomorrow, give Autumn a call and let's talk about that,
Okay.
okay? Yeah, Squire Wisman.
and it,
Oh, I'm sorry.
well, there's
another-
one more that's on the table. That's, all these are financially
Yep.
negative for Franklin County, could be big. The fuel tax, the Kentucky League of Cities is trying to reformulate that. In other words, they want part of our share. We're getting you almost 18 or 19%, and they getting 3 or 4 now. They want, anyway, if they were to be successful, our road aid money going down.
Yep.
There's no question about it. And we need to be at the table for, I'm sorry, I don't have to talk anymore, really.
That's
but-
okay, yeah, we'll get meetings set up,
Okay.
okay? Squire Wisman.
Well, first, Judge, just a contractual thing, there's an error here, and I'm just wanting to ask for the term. We have a negative month effectively, or a negative day,
It
but I'm
just needs to
assuming
be
that's for
fixed.
a 1-year term. Is that gonna be correct? We're looking for a February through January 31st of
It's on page
2026?
2.
Yeah, no, I know,
Number
but I'm
36.
confused
Or is there a-
because Belinda got a revised copy, I thought, that said February 1.
Under item 3,
Yeah.
the term
Yeah.
of this agreement shall commence on February 1, 2025 to January 31, 2025. So on the front page, that's just the date that they drafted the contract, but the term is February 1 to January 1.
So-
Of
31.
26.
Of 26, yeah, that's
But
what it
that
should
says
be.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah, they
Oh,
didn't
that's a
correct
typo.
that.
Okay.
That needs to be fixed.
Just
There's some
wanted to
other
confirm,
stuff
because I
that
didn't
needs to be
actually see it
fixed.
stated that the term was 1 year. I didn't know if we were looking at a 2-year biennium kind of thing for budgeting cycles and so with the state. Otherwise, I think this seems to be a fairly good value, but specifically, I didn't see, we hired someone last term that I never got to meet with or talk with, and I felt like we didn't have a shared vision. We've got to go through a process here that we all get on the same board and decide our major objectives.
Right, that's what they wanted to do. That was one of the biggest
Right.
things that was appealing to me, because they brought that up. They want to know who
Yeah.
you are, they want to know who you know, and they want to know what your district needs, and then they'll pull everybody together after they individually meet with everybody. But one of the gentlemen called me last week, and he said, just not pushing, but have you signed this, because we're ready to get to work.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, we're already,
Right.
30 days into session, but I'm going somewhere. From that experience, because we weren't all on the same board, we didn't really get anything, and we didn't use all of our best connections and ability all together to push for something, so, but there wasn't any feedback to us really about what you all asked for was out of line, or here were some alternatives. So I'm wondering about, I just didn't see any, there's a Schedule 1 here, but I'm wanting to add a clause, I guess, or add some kind of language about reporting requirements from the agency back to us, more than just there's recommendations of types of grant funds and some other things we might look at and suggestions they're going to make to us. But I'm really wanting to hear some of that feedback that they're getting
Right.
in the discussions with the other elected officials and state officials and otherwise, and how we can, I don't know if it needs to be overtly added, but I kind of felt like I wanted to add something in.
I'm sure
some of
they'd
the
be happy to do
terms.
that. I'm just trying to think what would the best mechanism for that be, is it a court meeting, or is it, yeah.
Well, it'll be on that regular conference call, which I have questions about something.
Okay. Squire, are you good for a minute? I'll let Squire Sebastian ask her
yeah, go
question.
ahead.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead,
Well,
Squire.
I want to make sure everybody else gets to ask theirs
That's okay.
first.
Okay.
I wanted to follow up, if we're going to address the date, thank you for that. It notes, I guess, Number 11 on page 3, where it talks about subcontracting. So I guess if the firm determines that it needs or desires to subcontract the services out, and those services would ultimately benefit Franklin County per their thing, I'm going to ask on behalf of the body that the contract be amended so that the firm must notify Franklin County, because it says we can
Yeah.
kind of notify you. I think they need to notify us
Yeah.
immediately
I'm good with that.
when and if they desire to subcontract that. And really what the intent is, you know, what the
Yeah.
rationale is to subcontract that, because that'd be information that'd be very beneficial for us
I agree.
to have.
So where exactly, just so the clerk gets it correctly, so when we go
It's
to
on
voting?
11,
Right.
so on the last line of
Yeah.
that, it says, upon written
It says
request from
shall.
Franklin County, but it starts with upon written request. We have to ask who they've subcontracted with. I mean, that to me is an issue of transparency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If they choose to subcontract,
Yeah.
if they feel like that there's someone else more valuable that would bring
Right.
value to Franklin County,
Yeah.
I think we need to know about that immediately and why that is, rather than us having to know that we have to ask them about that. I don't think that's truly beneficial to us to
Yeah.
constantly have to ask them.
Right.
So, I think, you know, as part of that, we need to know who the point of contact would be with the subcontractor. Because if they are working on our behalf directly,
Then never
then
do.
we need to be able to have
Right,
that one-on-one communication with them about what's happening.
What they're doing and why.
Yes, rather
Yep.
than, again, having to go through somebody else. So I think that's just very
Okay.
valid.
Yep.
And that's that one-on-one relationship that we need to maintain. I'm going to go on to number 14.
So I guess the question is, what do you want that paragraph to say?
Yeah, I have too.
So, well, rather than saying, you know, like upon written request, let me ask this. If when we go into a closed session, I could probably sit down and write something. But the thing is I think we need to be notified automatically.
If they're gonna sub anything out,
If they're
why?
gonna sub anything out, we need to know that they're subbing it out, rather than us having to write and say, every week, are you subbing anything out this week?
Yeah, and
Are
I
you
and I
subbing
think that's
anything
probably
else?
one of those boilerplate, because we didn't talk about that
It
at all.
may
But to
be.
your point, maybe something does come up, like yesterday's fiasco, and maybe they have a
Absolutely.
specialist in DC that has another contact, so yeah,
Yes.
that's fine.
So, you know, that's
Okay.
issue transparency for
Yep.
us.
Judge, if I could, it would seem to be nice to say something about a preference for approval by us. I had sort of the same thought, Squire Sebastian, that I remember an instance where we had an entity in this community that was supposed to be working on our behalf, but was also simultaneously working for another community, conflicting with, yeah, we all know who I'm talking about. But we may know something about a subcontractor that they suggest that we don't like, you know, that they may be working with someone else, so.
Okay, I'm gonna let
I'd prefer
Squire
approval.
Sebastian finish,
Thank you,
please.
Judge.
Yeah, keep going, and then Squire Tanner, I'll get to you, okay?
Give and
Thank
take here.
Number 14,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask that Franklin County be listed here. I mean, it took, because the thing is both parties that will be a part of this agreement are in Franklin County. On page 5, the fourth bullet from the end, it talks about fiscal court leadership. Who is that? Is that, if you go down to the bottom and count up,
Yep.
you know, fourth bullet, it specifies Franklin County Fiscal Court leadership, that there's going to be a regular conference call. So does that mean, Judge, you're going to do that? Because I think it gets to some of the early questions about how regular we get updates from them and
Right.
who is part of that update process. So, which is why I just made the statement.
Yeah.
I think there's a way that we can do that
Yeah,
through this agreement, just to make sure we know what that means. So we need to know what that means.
that's right. Max, what do you think, in your opinion, what's the best way to do that? You know, do I take the call and let Jenny do all the note-taking and then send that to the court for information? Because if we all get together, then that's going to be another
No,
court.
Judge, Max, could I ask, in the instance, it's my understanding that when we're lobbying on our behalf, that it doesn't constitute quorum that is an instance, trainings and lobbying, where we could all go to DC and lobby on our behalf, and it doesn't constitute a meeting or a quorum. Was my understanding of the open meetings, open records law, and I think it would be applicable here, because I had that highlighted
Okay. Nice.
as leadership as well.
I would say that if you all are all sitting around a conference call, and you all are all on a conference call, and that has not been set out as a meeting, and then you all start taking actions based upon what's lobbying, that's going to be running directly afoul of the Open Meetings Act. So I don't think you can sit there and draw in information from this individual, I'm doing these lobbying activities, so I need you all to do these things, and then you all start taking actions, and then you all potentially meet and start voting on things. I think that's going to directly run afoul of that Open Meetings Act.
But Max, let me ask you this, what if we set up a conference call and it's informational purposes only, and everybody calls into it from their own home or wherever they are, and we're instructed not to speak?
It's still, you're gathering information.
I'm just trying to be transparent here, I'm trying to figure it out.
You're gathering information to then that could subsequently be used in a vote. So when you're doing that gathering as a group, and then you're going to use that to vote, that's going to be directly afoul of the Open Meeting. So if it's one person that's being advised of it, or, you know, a certain committee or something like that, I think that could potentially be okay, but when you're all logging in, that's a meeting. Even if, because you can potentially use that information.
I understand, which is why I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
Because it talks about regular calls, so
Right.
what I don't know is if that's gonna be, you know, some kind of stand-up call. I had stand-up calls with them,
Yeah.
like on Wednesday.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
because we find out what's going on and what's gonna be regular, so I you know,
Yeah,
it would
I'm
just be
I'm
helpful as to
trying to think on the
who
fly.
that is, so that we can get that information, and that's something we need
I
to
know.
talk
Yeah.
about, so that we get the information, everybody knows
Yeah.
happens on that call.
Well, they can share the information if everybody can't get on it anyway, so whoever is on it can share the information by email or by phone or by any other way they want to do it.
We can set it up so Jenny takes thorough notes, and then she emails them to you all for informational purposes only, and then if you have individual things that you need to talk to lobbyists about, I'm sure they'd be happy to
We
talk.
live a day in technology, they can send us an update video every week or
Yeah.
something that can come to all of us. But Judge, while we're at it, I would like them to define for us, I've always been trained, and I was a former registered lobbyist for a little while, that if it's an instance that we, all as a court, go to the Capitol here or go to DC to lobby on an effort that has been organized, I'm not saying in these individual meetings, I'd like to know where that line is and where that's defined in sort of the terms of the contract, that it is not a meeting of the members if we're going and lobbying our elected officials on behalf of this county, so.
Okay. Squire Sebastian, I'm sure, you're not done, are you?
No, sir. Thank you, Judge. That third bullet from the bottom, where it talks about provide a weekly newsletter. So again, that talks about the committee summaries. I just hadn't gotten to that point. Legislative schedule, political events, relevant news, which would potentially be updates.
Yep.
Can we find out if that is if that is like a generic newsletter that they're sending to all of their clients, or if that's something particular to Franklin County? Because if it is, that's basically notes that we could utilize, and that could be sent directly to us, which was where I was going with
Yeah.
that.
Weekly seems pretty
most-
intense, though. That's
Yeah.
very often, you know.
Most lobbying
every week.
firms send out a
It's every
newsletter every
week.
week
Thank
anyway.
So,
I'm sorry.
I don't want to interrupt anybody. and be-
Hold on, let's let Squire Sebastian
No,
finish.
that's
I'm gonna call to you.
no, which is why I asked if anybody else had questions
Okay,
before I
all
started
good.
asking.
Okay.
So again,
Yeah.
I'll let others ask now.
Okay. Squire Tanner.
Couple of things I'd like to talk about. One of them is a newsletter, since we just got through talking about it. Most lobbying firms send out a newsletter almost every day of what's going on.
Which is generic.
With
to
about
everyone,
plus 20 headlines from newspapers all over the country and everything else. So you get a lot of information from it, all of them. But I do have some concerns about some of your all's concerns, especially about subcontractors. If we ask them to provide us a list of all their subcontractors, especially McCarty, you're talking about a lot of people probably in Washington DC and here and everywhere else, and you might get this slow rolling down. They don't want to do it. Now, if they contract one of them to contract with us, but specifically Franklin County, or then that's a different story. We do need to know who that is.
That was my point, was not every subcontractor.
Well,
the ones doing the work
we
for
talked
us.
about it talks about all the subcontractors in there. We asked them, which I don't know why but anyway, I would worry about that as being burdensome. And the other thing that Squire Wisman over here talked about was we needed to approve those people. If we got to do that, it may be a dead issue because they move very fast over there and it don't take very long. So somebody has got to have the authority to do that. And otherwise, we can't have a special meeting or committee meeting to approve that stuff because it'd be too late. I've been over there too long. I understand that and that's the reason I don't want to go back over there either, but it could get burdensome for them. And so they're running around trying to keep us up to date and that's a mistake. I understand why you want that, and we probably should get it, but I don't know how you want to do that. It has to be reasonable.
Is it not general practice for the subcontractors to report back to the main lobbyist and have them disperse the information?
No,
It's his world, so.
I don't know, I'm asking a question.
Actually, in my experience of that, they would employ a subcontractor to deal with certain issues. For example, they may deal with the Crushed Stone Association to deal with the tax on that, on road fuel tax, that kind of thing, rather than do that all themselves, because there's only so much stuff you might not know about other issues that's coming up.
That's my point, would they not, the subcontractors not revert back to the main and then have them disperse it that way? I mean,
I don't know how
what would be the use of having a subcontractor if they didn't know about it? That's the way
Well, they would hire,
Kicking it around.
they would hire the subcontractor and negotiate with them to lobby on our behalf, for example. I just use that for example because that would be an easy one. You would use Plant and Mix Asphalt or somebody else to talk about who's gonna get, how that money's gonna come down, who's gonna get the spending. Is it gonna be the county, is it gonna be the city? I mean, those issues that's how you get a subcontractor. Is because they may know more about it than you do.
Notify us. It's in our best interest. What if we're just notified?
We need to know.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all.
So maybe it's not so much that we have to approve it, because obviously they're gonna do what's best for our county. But
Well,
maybe that we're just notified that
We
they
can't-
hired
That's not
somebody.
what I asked. I did not
Okay.
ask for approval.
Okay.
I did not ask because
Yep.
I worked there. I know how this works.
Yep.
And
Okay.
they will work with whomever they deem most appropriate because
Yep.
they realize that somebody else, to Squire Tanner's point, has a one-to-one relationship and they know more about the issue.
Yep.
So that
Okay.
is not, that's their relationship.
Okay. Yeah.
That, I did not ask
Okay,
that. If
perfect.
somebody thought I asked
Yeah.
that, I did not.
Okay. Anything else on this agenda item? Linda?
Judges, the intent is to work with the remainder of the session for the next 2 months. How quick of you sort of indicated there that they would start working with us tomorrow, but I'm imagining we need to get some ducks in a row immediately
Yeah.
as a court.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a lot of plans laying around that we can lobby to fund.
Right.
We have two effectively, right? We have a lot of issues in the community, but I'm wondering how powerful or capable we'll be with such a short time frame left of this session.
Well, and let's not
and-
forget, a big focus is DC too, you know.
That's where I'm going.
That's why we're heading this way.
Well, I was gonna ask you to give us, since you all fielded and had the meetings, if you can give us a little bit more parameters of this firm, because I don't really have anything here. I looked them up, I know who they are generally, but was there multiple firms interviewed? Did you all feel like this group was stronger at the federal level, at the state level, or give us some background, if you will, because I don't have anything.
Long story
to make
short,
that judgment on.
I called our dignitaries in DC and I said, what's the best return on investment? Who's getting the most money out of DC for what we need? And this is the firm that was sent to us. So, I would have to say that the people that are serving up there know the lobbyists to know who's, getting the most out of their office, and that's really what kind of pulled us to them. Wouldn't you agree with that, Belinda?
Yes.
Is this somewhat of a, let's say, an introductory agreement for the first year? I know that for, instance that the city is spending almost 3 times this a month on their lobbying agency in DC. So this seems to be a pretty good value, but I'm wondering if we're getting the light plan to begin with, or did you all have any discussions about their ability larger and
We
more
we
detail?
talked about a lot of our concerns in
Are
our
we-
community and everything we have going on, and this is the price they gave us. So, I mean,
Okay.
I wouldn't say by any means it's a light plan. I mean,
Well,
this
I'm
is what
just
they said, yeah.
Wondering if they haven't met with the whole court, we have not set aside a plan of action or goals to hand them and say, here's what we'd like to go for.
Well, I
When
agree,
they're
but
gonna
I
meet
feel like
with
I
us,
have a
it's gonna
pretty
be
good,
fairly large,
grip
but
on the roads and bridges and water issues and septic issues and sewer issues and things like that. And that's what we
Okay.
discussed, so.
okay.
Okay, and we'll go to the next one, Belinda.
Yes, sir.
And I believe you have somebody with you.
Yes, Joe Sebastian, who's the EMS director, is here with us, so if we have any questions after I just give you this brief presentation, he'll be happy to come up and speak with you about
Perfect,
it.
thank you.
This is an application to apply for a Kentucky Board of Emergency Medical Services ambulance block grant in the amount of $10,000. As the county government, Fiscal Court is the agency eligible to apply for the grant, so that's why we're doing it. The funds will be used to purchase a Zoll portable ventilator for use in a Frankfurt Fire and EMS ambulance. I placed an abstract on your desk this evening due to some confusion on my part regarding Fiscal Court's financial obligation to the project. The total cost of the ventilator is $22,469.69. That's on your sales order that I included. The additional $12,469.69 needed to purchase the ventilator will be paid from the city's EMS equipment budget. What I failed to realize is that the county will then be billed a portion of that cost through our agreement with the city. So Amy helped me understand that Fiscal Court's portion is approximately 25% of the cost, so that'll work out to approximately $3,117.42.
Okay, what questions do we have on this grant?
Are they applying for it as well?
Only we can
Only-
apply for it,
okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Do you have a timeline of the award notification?
Yeah, the notification of award will be July 1st of 2025, and the grant award will be distributed August 31st.
Does this money come from the cell phone tax? You know, I don't, I get money from that.
I do not know how the Board of Emergency Medical Service funds this grant. Do you know
I
that?
looked through the KRS and the KRA, it didn't specify. I mean, I can look at that up, but I didn't see it.
Not that it matters, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
I didn't see it on the information either.
All right, seeing no questions, we're gonna keep moving. Thank you, Belinda. Next, I believe, Amy. No? Max? You talking about this one? That'd be nice, why don't you?
As you all are aware, back several years ago, the county voted to retain a firm in order to do opioid litigation. However, last year in 2024, the Kentucky Attorney General's office decided to go on their own and sue one of the entities, and that was the Kroger Company. They just reached a settlement with the Kroger Company back in October of 2024. In order for the county to, I guess, participate or share in those settlement funds, the document that is attached to this resolution is required from each one of those counties in order to be able to draw on those funds. The exact amount that each county will get has not been determined at this point in time. However, the settlement amount is set forth in those documents. And this, what the subdivision participation and release form does is basically opts the county into that settlement and releases the Kroger Company from the acts that were included in that lawsuit. And so basically what this allows the court to do is be able to get a portion of those funds, however the state, I guess, calculates out how to divide those between the counties.
Squash question?
Thank you, Judge. My question, which you've already answered, was, do we know what Brunswick County's allocation will be? You said no. Do we know when the allocation computation will be made, when we might hear from, I guess, the Attorney General's office about what we should anticipate? Do you have any idea?
I don't, there was some information that went out today that we could, I guess, potentially do a meeting in regarding a special or a closed session in regarding how some of those funds will kind of roll in. As that is, this is litigation, and that's what we're talking about. But as far as when that money's going to roll in and the exact amount, I don't know.
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
sitting here.
Thank you.
Any other questions for our county attorney on this one? I know it's been going on a long time, and hopefully it'll all work out in our advantage, and we can use this money to help some people in our community potentially. Alrighty, Max, thank you. Next, I believe Amy is here. Thank you for being here tonight.
Yes. So I would like to request to reinvest $6 million. A 30-day CD just matured for $6 million. With traditional, it earned $20,977. This 30 days, I would also like to request for you to allow me to reinvest it without having to come to the court until we need to use the funds.
So you're saying just the 30-day CD?
Yes.
You'd like to have free reign to
I would
kind of
like to be
keep
able
investing if
to
needed?
roll it over.
Keep rolling, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Or take it to another bank if we can get a better rate. But what I'm finding is I'm having to take it out. It's a lot of work for me. It's a lot of work for the banks as well. So since we know this is probably going to be used in the pretty near future, I would just like to be able to keep reinvesting it.
And at that rate, it's about $700 a day we miss when you have to come back to us.
Right.
Quick math there, Squire Black. Impressive. School teacher or something?
Drop a box of matches and
I
see if he
saw.
knows how many is in it.
The rain man.
It's $699.
I know. There we go.
I think, okay.
Amy, I'm assuming that our cash vest firm will still be giving you some, if there's a significant change, that you would bring it back to us to say
Yes.
you really need to reinvest, but
Yes.
just to make sure.
Okay. Amy, thank you for managing these funds, and you all are doing a phenomenal job, so thank you. Alrighty, next Treasurer's Quarterly Report.
This is just showing you that I have filed our quarterly report with the Department of Local Government. And then the next agenda item, the Treasurer's Report. You've got your revenues and expenses, but I've also have that quarterly report, which is the long sheet with all of our funds and the balances. So I just want to go over a summary of that. This is the balances as of December 31st. Receipts, $20.3 million. Expenditures, $18.6. Adding in the fund balance of June 30th of $29.9, it gives us a fund balance of $31.7. A couple of courts ago, we talked a little bit about the opioid settlement fund, and I just wanted to point that out. That balance is $532,214. I also would like to just give you an update on the bond, where we are on that. That is in the section labeled Capital Debt Service. Of course, that $12 million is not all bond. The bond balance as of December 31st is 6.3. I have drawn $4 million for the road project. For the park, $540,000. On this account, we have earned interest of $578,000. That is not something I'm investing. That is just the bond is with U.S. Bank. That's the bond company has invested it for us. Remember, during our talks, there are rules about how much interest we can earn. So just don't forget, we may have to pay some of that back because we're taking a while to draw this down. So I also wanted to update you on the road project. I have drawn down $4 million. The last pay app that we've received from Codell was November. You know, I look that we have almost 2.3 million still. You know, I hope that number's going to be a little bit lower once we finalize those numbers, but roughly 2.3 million. We still have the fire truck, 800,000. That leaves a balance of about 3.2 that we had said was going towards the park. So just wanted to give you an update of that as of December 31st.
Thank you very much, Amy. Any questions for Amy on the treasurer's report? Alrighty. Okay, thank you very much. Payment of claims. Anybody have any questions for Kim on payment of claims? Alrighty, seeing none. Like authorization to go into closed session per KRS 61.8101B-C, deliberation on the future acquisition or sale of real property by a public agency, but only when publicly would be likely to affect the value of a specific piece of property to be acquired for public use or sold by a public agency, discussions or proposed or pending litigation against or on behalf of the public agency.
Second.
Judge, I have a question. Just to clarify, if we're going to be speaking about Duckers, specifically, an appraisal firm has already given us an opinion and the public has seen those bids previously. Are we covered under closed committee exemption to discuss those in closed session when components of it have already been made public?
But the negotiations haven't been.
I'm just wanting
Yeah,
to
that's
verify.
fine. I'm actually okay with it.
I don't know directly what's going to be discussed in this closed session, so I don't know how I'm going to be able to.
We're negotiating the sale of a piece of property and potentially buying one.
And there's some other things I understand that we're going to discuss, but as far as the Duckers is concerned, I'm just wanting to, if we get too far off the trails that we think this is,
Yeah.
let's stop and go back into open session, because I'm concerned that most of this has already been made public.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We're in closed session.
There was one submittal for area 2 and 3, and I felt it was laughable. I don't even want to consider it.
Okay. Any other conversations on that? Let's go ahead and do the next one at 3. Okay, the next one is area number 4. Any conversations on that one?
Judge, generally, just all of these, my comment is, you know, I've said all along that I think we can do something creative to bring young families to our community, and we can help make those homes that could be built on these parcels affordable and attractive to those. And I kind of feel like we've got some more groundwork to do, that there may be a new entity to create or some other structure that we need to create to be able to maximize. I think we have a duty as elected officials and as a court to the community and the growth of our community, and in discussion of building a park space there. You know, I have discussed that I want to put some protections on all this land, that things that if we move forward.
I'm sorry, which parcels are you talking about, just so we all understand?
For 2, 3, well, 1, we had no bids, right? So 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
I really kind of want to go back to the drawing board a little bit, and I made some recommendations before, and I'd still volunteer to kind of shepherd some of that
Yep.
in. But for the value that was proposed to purchase these, I just don't think that's doing our due diligence
Okay.
enough. I think, you know, the other track is maybe something separate, but for those 4, I'd like to really go back to the drawing board a little bit and make sure
Okay.
we're creating some housing opportunities for our community that is attractive, that we draw in some young families, or
Right.
we give older retirees, single folks, places to downsize that frees up those homes. You know, some things that are the need that we hear all the time. So
Okay.
I would like to kind of, well, frankly, 2, 3, and 4, I'd like to reject those bids
Okay.
personally and go back to the drawing board.
Okay.
May I speak?
Okay, go ahead.
2, 3, and 4, where we have the bids, obviously not 1, because nobody wanted it, but I don't have any earthly idea. It does not add anything to the property that that would be left, the 30, whatever many acres that is, after we cut all that out, and if we were to sell it. So, as Eric mentioned, those places can build, you can put houses there, that's what's going there. Nothing else will go there. It's not feasible for any kind of recreation down there. Only what we kept is what we can put soccer fields on, perhaps other things. It'll never be a golf course again, because it's just not going, you know, it's not feasible. So I don't understand why we want to not do it, personally. But that's my opinion, which has changed lately.
Okay. So I'm just gonna throw my opinion out. I agree, you know, 1, we didn't get any, Squire Wisman, you and I talked about some, you know, housing options and things like that. 2, 3, but I will say 4 came in 500 over the appraisal. And I know the gentleman who put the bid on that is already building, retirement home condos. He's extending what's already there. And so. for
Which
me,
one is that?
That's number 4. It's a little 2.83 acres down at the bottom. And so he had bought that other piece of real estate that we did not own, that kind of almost landlocked it. So for me, somebody's already building there who wants to build some more, and mostly it's older people that are living in those communities. We all know we need more of that. So where I am is no on 2, 3, and I'm okay with 4. So any other conversations?
So I was just following along with you on the agenda. Are we through talking about area 2?
Well, we can talk about any of them if we want. We're just kind of
All right.
bouncing around, I guess.
In area 3, I felt the exact same way.
Yeah.
I felt like the bid wasn't where it needed to be. Number 4, like you said, it was $500 above appraisal, and those folks are doing the exact same thing that's already there. I think that type of housing is in need, or they wouldn't be doing it. These people are putting up their own capital to make it happen, and it's just adding to what's already there. I've spoken with folks in the community. that live over there, and they're okay with number 4 as well. And so I'm okay to vote on 4 and number 5. Have we gotten to that yet?
We have not.
Okay. So I'm
And we don't necessarily need to see how we're gonna vote, it's more of just a discussion
Right,
on
right.
things, I'm not, yeah.
But area 2, I was just like, I wanted to, tell you what I was feeling. 2, I don't think's good. 3, I don't think's good. 4, I think it's something we should consider. And 5, I think it's something we should consider.
Okay, thanks, Squire Blackburn, and that is your district, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. Just wanted to double check. Parcel 3, I think, was the bid that came in exactly the same as the appraised value for the property?
I want to say it was.
It was exactly the same. So I'm just trying to, I'm verifying. I guess I'm asking it out loud
What
to
are we trying to
verify.
get over the appraised value?
Yeah.
I get
Just
it.
trying to see if it's at or more than.
I guess for me, I thought it was still, even, because, I mean, that's 11 acres. I mean, that's a lot of land right there for a couple grand, and I don't agree with the appraisal on that one myself, that's a lot of land, and so that's.
Judge,
500 acres.
I'll say, I think we kind of got things reversed. The appraisal was made after there was a bid situation. They were legally required to look at those bids. And I think we would have had a different appraisal if it had been appraised prior to that bid situation happening. So I'd like to kind of look at that one a little bit more.
I understand.
Because the bid was $5,500, and for 11 and a half acres, that's wild, right? I can't do
Sure
that.
is.
Well, yeah.
Even if it's
Yeah.
landlocked.
That's a good point, and I think,
I
yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to ask a question to make sure I
yeah,
didn't misread or lose a digit somewhere.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
Squire Blackburn.
As it pertains to track 3, I wasn't totally against the bid because of the price. It's landlocked, it's zoned, PR, planned residential. I think with the new rail yard, increased use they're gonna have, I think it would be a great spot for buffer. I think it would be a great spot for us to talk with RJ Corman and see if they would wanna help us produce a buffer there to help those folks in that area, because there's a bunch of houses really close to that rail line, and with increased use, the folks that want to live there might decrease. We want to keep it. We want to keep the quality of life good there. I want to.
We'll be a good neighbor.
I want to try to help. I want to be a good neighbor.
Yep.
And I think a partner like RJ Corman, I think they'd be amenable to that. So
I think that's a great idea.
that's where I'm at with number 3.
Okay. Any other thoughts on, well, that's 2, 3, 4, and then, we good on that, and then 5, any thoughts on that? Microphone, please. Thank you.
So on number 5, in setting all these up, the court gave you the ability to negotiate with the folks that were bidding.
That's correct.
The bid that came in wasn't terribly off base, but at the same time, it was below the appraisal that we received. Could you tell us what you've negotiated or what you've willing to offer to tell
Yeah.
us?
So the bid on number 5 is at $425,000, and when I talked to the gentleman, he wants to be a true partner in this community. He likes supporting nonprofits. It will have a local aspect of a Brenneman's food truck, who's going to be their first brick and mortar. I look at it as a partnership. He had another successful restaurant for 12 years, I believe, and he's decided to make Kentucky his home with his wife, and he has some children on the way. We had a great conversation. The building does need a little bit of work. It's been vacant for a good couple of years now, but I think for economic development reasons, we're.
So just for transparency and next steps moving forward, tonight we would just be voting on accepting a bid, and the contract that makes that happen will come back before the court.
That is correct. And I believe the gentleman has already met with our planning and zoning in anticipation of hopefully getting it one way or another. There's no harm, no foul, but I know he is on the 14th agenda for a conditional use permit, which there was a
With
beer
BZA.
license there forever, but yes, that will go.
Which was actually there in the past, but it doesn't transfer to a new owner, so it has to be.
So yes, and that would all be in the contract. So really, I would assume he'd probably need to know something before we could get a contract ready for our next court potentially. So, yes, tonight is just if we're going to sell it or not on all these.
And I do want to say that I've spoken to several folks in the community that live over there, and I've been getting positive feedback that they're kind of excited that this would happen. And I do want to add, when the time comes, that I want to make a motion to make sure that the proceeds and revenue from all the sale of the land that's on the property at 67 Buena Vista be held in a fund to further park projects and the like at 67 Buena Vista.
I would agree, and I hope the whole court agrees, because we have the opportunity to add a park system to our system, to Franklin County, and I look forward to hopefully working with everybody on that, so yeah. Any other comments on 2, 3, 4,
Judge,
5?
just for the public record, I already asked during closed session, but Max, could you verify we can sell publicly owned land at under the appraised value if it's for an economic development purpose?
Yes, as a component of it, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Obviously, I don't have any support to sell those other two, but I think eventually they will be sold. Possibly all three to build houses on.
Yeah.
So I don't know why we don't go forward, but since there's no support, I keep my mouth shut.
Okay. All righty, the next agenda item is for Franklin County to buy 3.75 acres. Any comments on that? All righty, seeing none, we're going to go into other business. I'm going to ask the court before we go into other business, can I get a motion to suspend the rules, because we have two young ladies in the audience that wanted to speak and didn't realize public comment was there. Oh, I thought I did something wrong, sorry. They didn't realize that, so can I get a motion to suspend the rules?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules to
Second.
allow people in the public to say a few words.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Please come to the podium, state your name, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay,
No pressure.
I'm nervous.
I've never suspended the rules either. You're the first one.
I've been told I'm special before.
Oh,
so,
look at that.
My name is Melanie McIntosh, and I'm not a public speaker, so bear with me. I actually live adjacent to parcel 3 that we were just discussing. My backyard backs up to it. Currently, our children play in that field because the yards are so tiny. We didn't really think about that when we purchased our home. It was during the period of time where the interest rates were really low, and we lived in a duplex, and we wanted to expand, and we wanted our child to go to a great school, which was Hearn Elementary. So as soon as we saw the house was for sale, we jumped on it. We didn't even have an inspection done. We just wanted that home. And since we've lived there, it has been an emotional roller coaster. I'm going to try not to get emotional. But it is the yards are very small, and we bought this property knowing that there was all this space in the back. We were actually told by our realtor that it couldn't be built on, and we thought, this is great. So the kids in the neighborhood play soccer, baseball, all the sports. There's a walking path that used to be the cart path. You'll see every morning people walking their dogs and you doing all the exercise things that I don't do. I'll just watch them out the window. So it's a beautiful green space for us. Now, we do get the occasional train come through that causes a little bit of noise, but that's okay. So when we heard that everything was going to be sold off, we got very nervous. We knew that green space would probably go away. We're asking that just take into consideration maybe leaving that and not selling that piece off. We know there's a stockyard coming, and this past week we've had people knocking on our doors wanting to video our homes to check out the foundation because of the blasting that's going to be happening. So that has added a lot of stress to us as well. So we're just asking just to take that into consideration before you all sell it off. And if anything, maybe give us the opportunity to maybe buy that land for ourselves.
Okay.
Be fine.
All right.
You could
Sparrow
be-
Blackburn?
I'm your magistrate,
Yes,
and totally agree with you.
Yeah.
that means a lot.
You're not too far from the voting session, so you've been here 3 hours and 21 minutes. I'm assuming you and your mom, so
I know,
you might as
and I
well go
was
the
like,
distance with us.
I didn't sign in or anything.
No,
yet,
that's fine.
You know, so.
Thank you for being
I
here.
really appreciate the
And I
opportunity.
hope you can see that we want to be good community
Yes,
partners.
yes.
You know, I know this has been a long process, and there's been a lot of misinformation
Yeah.
over the last year or so,
Yes,
but I
yeah.
do think this court wants
Yes,
to be.
and we just met the gentleman about parcel 5. I think I'm saying that parcel 5,
Yep.
right? Yes, the neighborhood would absolutely love to have him and his ideas. And we're okay with being, having other places built, other areas built in there, but parcel 3 is like our space we would
Okay.
like to keep, so.
All right, thank you for being
Thank you
with us.
so much, I appreciate it.
Does Mom want to get up at all?
I just wanted to say, I met Melanie outside, and she's gonna be the t-shirt vendor.
We got an incubator going here tonight, a little entrepreneurship. Okay, alrighty, we're gonna jump back into other business. Any other business before we go to voting session? Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. I just wanted to say that I had called the Office of Broadband Development last week after getting back to see if the unserved and underserved broadband areas map had been finalized. The answer is yes. And Megan was, the Director Sandfoss,
Yep.
got with me immediately and sent me the map electronically. So I'm happy to forward that out to everybody on the court so you'd be able to see that, but I didn't want to launch that without making sure everybody knew that. I believe the bids for the service providers have to be in by March.
15.
Yes, 15th.
Yes.
And so that's rapidly approaching. And I will say that I am truly deeply saddened that one of our long-term community partners, the Frankfurt Plant Board, is not going to be on that step with us. However, I am going to say I am so darn happy that they're out there working hard for those 884 homes right now to extend that, and that shows the continuing partnership across this project. So I guess my question to you is the partners or the potential partners that are out there who could be working with Franklin County, have they reached out to Franklin County to say, we've looked at the map, or we didn't know the map was available, now that we know the map is available, here's the next step for us, or can you help educate us just a little bit to make sure?
I don't want to say too much. Actually, today, I reached out to them because with all these other projects going, it's the unknown. I know it's a huge priority for us.
Huge.
The one vendor said that they have sent it to corporate, and they're waiting on their thoughts on it. The other one, I'm assuming, is going to call me back tomorrow, so, but it's the two that came, talked to us before, so that's what I know right now, and if I learn of more, I'll let the court know, so that's, but yeah, you're right, it was available January 15th, and it closes March 15th, short window, and they're gonna move on it pretty quick for the first, drawings, or whatever you wanna say it is, and then there'll be a second one, but they're both still very interested in Franklin County, that last 1,100, and that's, I know, a huge part of what the court wants to see done, as it is mine.
Thank you.
Yep, quite welcome.
Judge, just in relation to that, I had a friend call and said that at least one agency intends to make a proposal, so I hope that everyone will be served with reliable internet in this county soon, although just know that project is probably still, 3 years from realistic
Probably by the
service
time
on
it
the
gets to
ground.
their house, I think 3
Yeah.
years is probably a good number.
So Shane New is, in mentioning that, made me think of it. Shane New is retiring from Bluegrass Ad.
Yep.
I'd like to make sure that we reach out and get a copy of all those digital files, the mapping that he did for us before
Yeah,
they sent it on,
somebody
just to make sure
trained.
we have them, because
Yeah.
Shane's been there for a very long time, and that's a huge brain drain that
Yep.
when he leaves, that I'd like to have what we put together.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, not a problem. That would be a big void for them, but I know they've been hiring a lot of new people, and they're doing well, and, yeah. Okay, any other business before we go to voting session? Alrighty. Clerk, please call roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Here.
Squire Blackburn,
Present.
Squire Dykus,
Here.
Squire Harris,
Here.
Squire Tanner,
Here.
Squire Wisman,
Present.
Judge Mueller.
Present. Give me a minute. I have so many papers up here, I can't find my voting session. Ken? You see, wait a minute, is it in this picture thing? I've never done that, always. Is that it? Okay. I apologize. It's been a long day. Been a long day. At least I found it. Away we go. Authorization for approval on minutes from the special meeting January 7, 2025.
I'll make the motion as amended.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Authorization to receive the county clerk's quarterly report ending December 31, 2024.
So moved. Second.
Did you get that, clerk?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a memorandum of understanding between the Franklin County Fiscal Court and Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a resolution to apply for a Second Chance Act grant with the Office of Juvenile Justice Delinquency Prevention, United States Department of Justice, and to serve as recipient with the Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation as a sub-recipient.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement with McCarthy Strategic Solutions LLC for lobbying services.
I'll second that motion, and the documents we have in front of us will be amended.
Okay?
Do I need to read it?
Who motioned it?
Mike,
Right here.
I just got to get to the spot here to read it.
Now you know how I feel.
It's 6, I believe. I just got to get the paper. Did I leave it over there? I can't find where I wrote on it. Did I leave it there? Okay, sorry. I got it. I got it. So we would be amending on page 3, item 11, which is subcontracting. We would change the very last sentence to say, MSS shall provide a list of some subcontractors used within a reasonable amount of time. It's the best legal term we could come up with. And then that way, that puts the onus back on them to apprise us immediately. Judge?
Yep. Are you good with that, clerk? Okay. That's a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Squire Sebastian, for making that change. Authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the filing of an application to the Kentucky Board of Emergency Medical Services Ambulance Block Grant Program.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a resolution of the Fiscal Court of the County of Franklin, Kentucky County authorizing, approving, and directing the execution of the necessary documentation for the county to participate in the Kentucky Office of the Attorney General's opioid settlement with the Kroger Company.
So moved.
Second.
Did you get that, clerk?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to authorize the treasurer to open the following certificates of deposit on behalf of the fiscal court to improve investment earnings, and authorize the treasurer to renew this CD at maturity and the best rate until the funds are needed.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive treasurer's quarterly report for months ending December 31, 2024.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Payment of claims. Is there a motion to deny payment of any claim? No motion was made. Let the record reflect claims are to be paid.
Judge, before we go on to the next agenda item, I'd like to make a motion, because it's going to deal directly with those things. I wrote it down so I wouldn't sound better. I'd like a motion that the proceeds from the sale of any property at 67 Buena Vista be restricted to expenditures for park projects at 67 Buena Vista.
Second. So do we need to make a motion to amend the agenda first and then?
I would say,
and then
is
this
there a motion to amend the
So
agenda?
I'll make the motion to amend the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion is, okay, so now,
I'll make a motion that the proceeds from the sale of property at 67 Buena Vista be restricted to expenditures for park projects at 67 Buena Vista.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to award a bid to Erie Partners LLC, sole bidder for the sale of the property known as Area Number 2 located at Buena Vista Drive in the amount of, I don't have that with me. What's going on here?
$11,500.
Thank you.
Yes. 7,500.
I move to reject the bid, Judge.
Okay. So that would just die then.
You
Right.
could not make any motion.
As long as no
on it,
second.
down like one.
He said he just wants to reject it, so same difference. Okay. Next agenda item, authorization to award a bid for Erie Properties LLC, sole bidder for the sale of the property known as Number 3 located at 67 Buena Vista Drive in the amount of,
$5,500.
I'll go ahead and move to reject that one too, just so it's verbalized at least. We don't have to take any action, right?
she's gonna die on the vine. Okay. Motion fails. Authorization to award a bid to Duckers Lake Development Phase 1 LLC, sole bidder for the sale of property known as Area Number 4 located at 67 Buena Vista in the amount of
$15,000.
$15,000.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Did you get that, clerk?
Yes.
Motion passes, thank you. Authorization to award a bid to Nathan Doyle, Rockies, best bidder for the sale of the property known as Area Number 5 located at 67 Buena Vista Drive in the amount of $425,000.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Judge, can I make,
Aye.
I'd like to make the caveat that we're adopting that for economic development purposes, if that's
Okay.
acceptable.
Clerk, can you put that in the notes?
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Welcome to the community. Authorization to purchase 3.75 acre parcel within property located at PVA map number 074-00-00-031.00 in the amount of $350,000.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
I'll
Motion
say
passes.
amen instead. Were
Thank
you
you, Gordon.
taking amen?